Have you ever wondered why Mongolia isn't part of China today? Even though it was once a part of China's Qing dynasty, at that time, regions like Tibet, East Turkestan, Inner Mongolia, and Taiwan were under Qing rule. Taiwan isn't actually part of China today, but China still shows it on its map. So why isn't Mongolia shown the same way? China shows many territories as its own, even large areas of the sea that don't actually belong to it. So why not Mongolia, especially when it was part of China once? To understand this, we need to go far back in time. This was the 13th century, when this region was home to the largest land empire in human history. It stretched from Korea, Russia, and Europe all the way to the Middle East, Central Asia, China, and Korea. It was called the Mongol Empire. At this time, Mongolia ruled over China, and the Mongol ruler was Genghis Khan. After he died, his sons took over the empire. Even then, the Yuan dynasty controlled almost all of China and large parts of Mongolia. Later, the Yuan dynasty fell, and China came under the Ming dynasty. The Ming defeated the Yuan, but they could never take full control over all of Mongolia. Then, by the late 17th century, the Qing dynasty rose and captured all of Mongolia. Before this, Mongolia had never been under China's rule. By the late 19th century, the Qing dynasty had become extremely weak. Korea was ruled by the Joseon Kingdom, and it was under Qing influence. But Japan wanted to take Korea so it could expand toward Russia. So in 1894, Japan attacked Qing-controlled Korea, leading to the First Sino-Japanese War. Qing-China lost badly, and the Treaty of Shimonoseki was signed. China not only lost its influence over Korean, but Taiwan also went to Japan. The Liaodong Peninsula and Port Arthur were taken by Japan as well. China was too weak to do anything, but Russia did not like this. Russia, France, and Germany pressured Japan to return those territories to China or face war. Japan couldn't fight all three, so it agreed, but Russia played a trick. Instead of giving the land fully back to China, Russia took it for itself, using China's weakness to its advantage. Russia then tried to take full control of Korea too, but Japan fought back hard in the Russo-Japanese War, defending Korea and gaining control over parts of Manchuria, though not completely. Meanwhile, movements inside China were growing stronger. Hu Yi, who was only 2 years old, had been made emperor, and Japan formally annexed Korea in 1910. In 1911, a revolution broke out in China, and Hu Yi lost his throne. He stayed in Beijing for a while, and later, as an adult, he fled to Japan. After this, Mongolia and Tibet declared independence, and civil war broke out in the rest of China. At the same time, in 1917, a revolution began in the Russian Empire, overthrowing the monarchy and creating the USSR. Mongolia was independent, but it was weak. China could take it back at any time. So Mongolia began building friendly ties with Russia. As China's civil war began to settle, China tried to recapture Tibet and Mongolia. In 1919, China sent its army into Mongolia, but Russia sent its army too. China wasn't strong enough to fight Russia, so it backed off. Mongolia fell under Soviet influence and became a communist nation, serving as a buffer zone that protected Russia from both China and Japan. But China still didn't officially recognize Mongolia as independent. On its maps, China continued showing Mongolia, Tibet, and Taiwan as parts of China. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union became stronger, and Japan invaded China. Japan was expanding rapidly. China asked the USSR for help, but the Soviet Union demanded recognition of Mongolia's independence in return. China had no choice. It agreed. Together, China and the Soviet Union fought Japan. Then Japan made a major mistake. It attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor. This brought the US into the war. The US defeated Japan using 2 atomic bombs. After the war, Russia returned Manchuria to China. China continued to show Taiwan and Tibet as its own territories, but because of its agreement with the USSR, China never tried to take Mongolia again. In 1950, China invaded Tibet and still claims Taiwan today. When the USSR collapsed in 1991, Mongolia adopted democracy. Even today, Mongolia depends on China economically, but it remains politically independent. What would have happened if the USSR had never supported Mongolia? Let's end the story here. See you in another interesting video.